Hey everybody, welcome to Shaper Sessions. This is Russ talking to you from off camera. We got Jake cutting a cool little project here, and while he's doing that, let's just get started. This is a really cool special Shaper session today, Black Friday, the morning of Black Friday, and we've got a big deal for you. We're going to talk about this all through the session, but the basics of it are, for the holiday season, you can save over $400 when you order Origin and Workstation. The details of that are you get a free Sys1 Sustainer, free roll of double-sided tape, which is a fixturing essential that we're going to talk about today. You get $100 off when you bundle Origin and Workstation, and you get 2 free training classes with the guy himself cutting a tusk for a tusked loose tenon entryway bench. That's Jake. And let's see now what he has got. How's that looking, Jake? One more pass. All right, one more pass. Just doing the finishing pass here. What we're talking about today on Shaper Sessions is holiday gifts. The holiday season is afoot. And if you have made gifts for your loved ones before, then you know they always take a little more time than you think they will. So we're getting started early here. Now is the time to get started on gifts for everybody. We made a cool holiday promo video this year with a couple of gifts that Jake and our buddy Sam and Ahona put together. We're going to show off a couple of those. We're going to show off a couple of classic gifts from ShaperHub, including the tripod stool that I think you may have seen before. We've got some box jointed boxes. We've got lattice lamp, and then we've got a really great new one to show off today, a premium project that we just launched with Aspen Golon, her bench brush. Aspen's a traditional woodworker who's well known for her brush making, and we got lucky enough to work with her on a new one. So with that, let's get into it. And so what are you cutting, Jake? What did you just finish?
I just cut one of the tusks for a tusked wedge tenon entryway bench that I'm making as a gift for somebody.
That is very nice.
Yeah. So this is a very subtle taper, about a 5-degree taper, which matches that hole through that tenon. And when we assemble,
oh yeah,
bring this together, that fits in there like so, with a nice little tap. That's a totally friction fit piece of joinery. It's not going in for anywhere for a long time.
Yeah, that is very nice. Let's show off this extra tusk that we have on the bench cam. And if you caught a little bit of that in the intro, this profile is what Jake was cutting here with Origin. Pretty tricky to make that kind of profile with this little apostrophe tab with traditional woodworking tools, and we just zipped it right out here with Origin and Workstation.
Yep.
But you've got more cool details to show off on this bench, which I think is very impressive.
Yes. So the other thing that Origin's really incredible at is engraving. So just to personalize things, whether it be small gifts or large pieces of furniture like this, and you want to put your maker's mark on it, I went ahead and engraved maker's mark on the bottom of the seat.
Still well crafted.
And we've also done all the joinery, the Morrison tenon joinery too for the top. So if you want to give me a hand in lining that up.
Let's see. Let's go a little farther. Yeah, perfect.
There we go.
Very, very nice.
That's ready for its new home.
Reminds me of like Japanese style joinery. And the silhouette also, like a pagoda.
Yeah.
Very, very nice. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people here may be new to Origin and Workstation, but also may be new to Shaper Sessions. So a quick intro on this format. We are doing all of this live. Little twist with this session, though, for regular viewers. We're doing this pre-recorded, and we're actually watching this with you. So Jake and I didn't want to work on Black Friday, so we're sitting on the couch. We're going to be in the comments answering any of your questions. Usually we do a Q&A after the show with giveaways. We're doing the Q&A as we speak, so please send us all of your questions in the comments, and we will be there answering them. And we are still doing the giveaway. So over the course of the show, you're going to see a poll pop up at the bottom of your screen. There will be a field to enter your first and last name and your email address. This is a little bit more than we usually ask for, but since we won't be able to do the wheel at the end of the show in that live segment, we're going to go ahead and email you if you provide us that information with everyone who has won at the end of the show. We're going to do the wheel in the background. And we've got some really cool giveaways for you today. We've got 5 free passes for the Bench Brush Premium Project that was just launched. We have 1, this is really cool, all access pass to premium projects. So one person is going to win every premium project that is out there on ShaperHub right now. Love that. Some really cool stuff out there, and they all make really great gifts.
Absolutely.
And then we've got 1 1/8-inch collet to also give away, which is our, I think, shared favorite accessory.
Absolutely.
I would say.
Endless possibilities there.
Yeah.
Couple things too. This week only, during the Black Friday, specifically the Black Friday deal, you will also get
Black Friday promo.
this limited edition T-shirt, which you cannot buy anywhere else. This is one of our early T-shirt designs done by a designer that was with us for a long time, and a good friend of ours. It's one of our favorite throwback shirts. So if you want to get your hands on this, buy specifically this week.
Yes, and I think the date on that is the 29th. So good catch on that, Jake. Shirt available as part of the holiday promo between now and November 29th.
Yeah.
So get on that.
You want to bring over the Sys one too?
Yeah, we've got the Sys one right here to show off for you. This comes with a customizable foam insert that's cuttable with Origin. We've got fixture plans for setting up to cut that foam insert on ShaperHub, which is our online repository for sharing projects and creating your own, getting files to and from Origin. And then I think there's also a session actually from way back on customizing your own Sys one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so go back and watch that, and there's a lot of info in there as well. So in case we lost you on that one, quick recap on the deal. Save over $400 buying Origin and Workstation through the holiday season. That's a free Sys one, free roll of double-sided tape, save $100 with Origin and Workstation bundle, 2 training classes with our dude Jake right here, the expert, and then this week only, this incredible, stylish Shaper t-shirt. Vintage reissue. You can't find that just anywhere. So that's Shaper Sessions. That's what we're doing a little bit different this week. But for people who really haven't been here before, we do also want to introduce you to the thing that we're looking at, the way that Jake cut this tusk. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Origin and Workstation, Jake?
Absolutely, absolutely. So this is Shaper Origin. It is a handheld CNC machine that brings digital precision to the craft of woodworking. What does that mean? It allows me to take digital design files, specifically SVG files, and cut it on whatever material I want, wherever I want. As long as I have some Shaper tape or the handy dandy Workstation, which is an all-encompassing fixture station for Origin, I can cut whatever I want with a level of precision that is not possible just by hand. I mean, we're talking down to the thousandth of an inch. The way it all works, you stay roughly close to your line, within about a half of an inch of your cut line, and Origin does the rest. It will micro adjust for your movements, so as long as you're close to it, it will be bang on the line. Let me show you what that looks like a little bit. So we'll just use this cut path that I already have here. When I plunge, as I move side to side, you might be able to tell that my spindle is staying right on that line. So I just have to stay in the general area, and it's going to follow along right along that line. If I go outside that line, it's going to retract for me, keep me from messing up too bad. Then I can just back up, restart my cut, carry on. You can do everything from large flat cuts to on-end joiner, especially when you bring in Workstation. So when we're talking about doing mortise and tenons, or if we're talking about doing inlays and things like that, all possible down to an incredible degree of accuracy, and being able to nail that kind of fitment by using something called offsets. So an offset, a quick description of an offset, basically you have your final line. If I want to cut slightly larger or slightly smaller than that line, I can do that on the fly. So I have tenon that's not quite fitting into my mortise. I can make my mortise a thousandth of an inch bigger or small, or just ever so slightly bigger to get that fit exactly how I want it.
Very, very cool.
Couple of on-tool CAD options as well. I said you could bring in SVGs from any kind of design software, but you can also do things directly on tool with on-tool CAD. So you have some basic features, make a circle, a rectangle, any size you want, just by entering the dimensions. Say 2-inch circle, boom, there we got a 2-inch circle. We also have, pen tool, which does exactly what it sounds like, drops points and allows you to draw rough shapes. Text basic, type out anything you want, and again, place it. That's how we did the engraved maker's mark in the bottom of the bench. And box joint basic. Very fun tool. You can do an entire chest of drawers with box joint basic. Something like, gotta find an empty drawer. There we go. Something like this. 1/4 inch material.
Let's hold that up to the bench cam because I'm blown away every time by the quality of those joints.
Yeah, that's a fun one. And this was just all done on tool. I input exactly what size my material is, the thickness, the width, how many pins I want, and I'm good to go. I can cut it right there in Workstation. Workstation, a brief look at Workstation. I currently have the shelf set up, so this is a height adjustable work surface that you can actually stick things directly down to. In this case, I had this piece of ash. This is a sacrificial spoil board, so you just stick things directly to it, and it allows you to easily adjust the height up and down because you want everything to be coplanar. If I'm not interested in doing flat work, I can clamp things on end and do tenon work right here. Yeah.
With some clamps.
With some clamps, which also comes with a Workstation.
Yeah, exactly.
The two go hand in hand. They're a great system, the complete system, Origin plus Workstation. I encourage both of them. But you can go a long way with just Origin as well, with shaper tape, which I actually don't have a roll of around here.
Yeah, I think we just use the top of Workstation mostly for sessions. If you keep talking about it, I'll go grab some.
Yeah, so shaper tape is exactly what it sounds like. It is this domino pattern laid out into a roll of tape. So if I say wanted to cut a larger piece or all the holes in this table, for example, I would actually lay that tape directly out on the table surface, scan it in, create that workspace, and then I would be able to just cut right through the tape. It's kind of it's an expendable thing that you're just meant to put directly down onto your surface and cut right through it.
Here we go. We got some shaper tape right there. So if we were to want to add some MFT holes to this MFT table, we could lay down some shaper tape, scan it all in, make a grid based on the dimensions of the table, and add some circles and get to work.
Yep.
Cool.
And Russ mentioned it briefly, but the ShaperHub is actually our online repository of all of our designs. It's a community thing, so anybody that owns an Origin can post their projects. We post projects. We have premium projects, which are a little bit more guided, paid content. And all of those files, once you download them, end up right here on your import tab.
Right on the tool.
Everything will show up right here. So that's everything that I have in my personal ShaperHub, and my premium projects all show up here.
Beautiful. Look at those icons.
Gorgeous.
Our guy Goose on the switchboard did that bench brush icon, and I gotta say, it's incredible. It's stunning. It's worth getting the project just to see his icons. So I think that's a pretty good intro. Covered the bases. Origin in a nutshell. Let's talk about gifts. I think that's what everybody's here for. We got a couple of gifts that you could make this holiday season to show to you all, and that also highlight some of the strengths of Origin. We got a couple of categories. We've got a couple of different ways that you can take things that are pre-existing and customize them to make them your own, or somebody else's, I guess, really, in the case of a gift. Yep. And those two things we touched on a little bit are inlay and engraving. So, Jake, on the bottom of that stool or the bench that we showed you, engraved his maker mark, but you could also engrave anything else that you want. You could engrave the recipient's name. You could engrave a logo, or if the person that you care about really loves Christmas trees all times of the year, you could engrave a Christmas tree on your gift to remind them of this special Christmas season. Or if they, really like dogs or something a little more normal than just loving Christmas trees year round. Also really great for making custom ornaments.
Oh, absolutely.
Speaking of engraving.
Yeah.
So let's show off engraving. I think I actually made a small mistake by taking the bench away because we had our engraving example on the bottom there.
That's all right.
But yeah, we don't have
a
anything
small section
behind us. We do have some inlay that we could talk about.
Yes. So when we're talking about inlay, we're talking about taking thin material and inlaying it into another piece of material. This is really thin strips of hardwood inlaid into some white oak, and that level of accuracy, and that this is all done using a 16th inch bit. So really the level of sharpness of your cuts is determined by how small you want to go on that cutter. But that is something that you can do in a pre-existing piece of furniture, in a floor, and all kinds of things. Cutting boards.
Cutting boards are great for inlays.
It's kind of the go-to gift, making someone a cutting board, but elevating it that much more by doing a personalized engraving or an inlay into it, kind of knocks it out of the park.
Now that we're talking about it, my dad, when he was younger, made a piano bench for my grandma.
Yeah?
It's very classic, understated, and now that we're talking about it, I'm thinking that I could go and do a really cool inlay on the top of that piano bench.
A multi-generational.
Multi-generational.
I like it.
Yeah, exactly. Take Shaper Origin home with me with the dust collection and all that. Go to Grandma's house, lay the Shaper tape out on the piano bench, and just get to work doing a little inlay.
Yeah.
On the spot.
I think that's a huge beauty of Origin, is the fact that you can literally take it anywhere with you. You can take it straight to the client's house, and instead of having to bring something back to your shop, bring the shop to it.
Yeah, client or gift recipient.
Or gift recipient.
In this case, it doesn't have to be as transactional as that. So that's inlay and engraving. Of course, Jake showed off the entryway bench that he made earlier, but we also have a couple more examples of bigger things that you could whip up for the holidays with Shaper Origin. We got one classic one over here.
It's an old project from our buddy Noah. The tripod stool.
The tripod stool.
Can be found on ShaperHub.
So tell me how you would make this, Jake.
Yeah. This is actually a really cool project. I wish I had one of these legs floating around, but it is a through tenon, and it's 1.5 inch thick material.
I think so.
And the trick is, so the standard cutter that comes with Origin has 3/4 of an inch long of cutter flute. Like, that's how long the actual length of cut is. In order to get a full through tenon, it is a double stepped tenon, so that allows you to get like full finish passes on that tenon, and gives you the look of a through tenon without having to do
very clever
with
the stock cutter. You don't have to go out of your way to get anything exotic to do this one. Everything that just comes in the box with Origin and Workstation is all you need to get this thing going.
Yep.
Which is pretty cool.
Those tenons are done right on Workstation using the angle fence. And once it's set up, and once you've kind of set up your workspace, you just cut it, swap out for a new leg, cut it, and repeat.
Yeah. You can make these for your whole family. For people that you care about, you could even make several of the same thing. I bet they'd appreciate that.
There you go.
I love you more, so I'm going to make you 5 stools instead of 1.
I think I originally had to make like 5 of these in a go, and this is why we're having an earlier holiday gift session, is because now is a good time to start those longer form projects for the people that you want to, give a little bit more effort to.
Yeah. We are going to do a session on last minute gifts for all you procrastinators out there as well. But we're showing you some good bigger ones today.
Yeah.
Speaking of good big furniture, I think it's time to show off the green and green coffee table.
Bring it in.
All right. Grab this thing. I'll get the coffee table. Now this is a masterpiece. This is something that you could do if you started this weekend with Origin on a holiday gift. Jake, how long did it take you to bust this out? Like 3 weeks? A little less, maybe?
I mean, actual cutting time?
Yeah, not actual cutting time. I mean, like start to finish in the project. Like it probably took you what, like 8 or 10 hours?
Yeah,
cutting time?
I would say probably took about 2 weeks to finish the project.
2 weeks start to finish. So you have to start early, is what I'm saying. But like, could you walk us through some of the insane details on this thing?
Yeah. So, just a quick glimpse of the front section. So it's a breadboarded end top. There's actually a tongue groove that goes all the way through here. Notice this little bit of a jog here. This is like a really highlight of Origin moment. Being able to do this on Workstation accurately and have everything come together beautifully. And then a lot of these caps are just to embrace kind of the green and green aesthetic, but it's all mortise and tenon joinery glued together. Very few screws. The caps are aesthetic.
Yeah, very nice.
Caps are the whole table is out of Sapele, and the caps are Wenge. But you can see I can't really show that off very well.
What if we tip this way? Can you see the angle on the caps now at all? We have an Instagram live on this.
Yes.
So if you're interested in the process that Jake went through to cut all of these caps surprisingly quickly, actually, he made a really cool fixture and put together a really awesome batch process. We recorded that a couple of different times, actually. We have a session on fixturing with Workstation from a couple of weeks ago that has that process in it, and then we also posted it to Instagram this Tuesday. So if you go just a little ways back on our Instagram account, you'll also see a nice short and sweet Instagram live video on Jake's process for making these. You can't see it on the sessions camera setup, but really artfully slightly rounded screw caps for these, kind of rounded in 2 directions so they come to a nice cross in the middle. Really, really love it. Yeah,
this is a really fun project.
Beautiful.
It showed off the strengths of Origin really, really well, dialing in that.
Yeah. And there will be a ShaperHub project for it. It is not up yet. There is a ShaperHub project for the Craftsman style screw covers.
Yeah.
Yep. So get started on your Christmas gifts early is what we're saying with this thing.
If you don't want to go as big as we're talking here, there's plenty of things on ShaperHub that will allow you to kind of just bang out a quick project for someone. Something like, if we're talking seasonal, the snowman nesting tray.
Hardwood.
That's kind of fun. Yes, they are all nesting. That's something you could leave out all year. Doesn't have to be just seasonal.
Yeah.
This is a premium project that is free, I believe. So
get you started with Origin. A lot of learning moments in that one.
Yeah, if you're new to Origin, that is a really fantastic idea to download that project and go through what it's like to have a premium project, because it teaches you step by step how to use Workstation, how to probe, all those different things. That lays a good foundation for the rest of your project making.
Yeah. And then we've got this controversial guy right here, the Gnocchi Board. I think this is a really fun one. This is for putting the ridges in your gnocchi if you have a home cook in the family. And you can find this one as well on ShaperHub. This has also kind of like an online engraving style, which is used for something obviously non-traditional engraving, but to make those lines for the Gnocchi Board. And then you learn how to make nice profile cuts. We've got a good 45-degree cut here. Little handle with a hanging leather cordlet. Pretty cool. And then the star of the show today, as far as small housewares go, are this bench brush from Aspen Golon. And I'm going to show this off real quick before we go into our announcements just one more time. So this is what we're about to talk about. But before we get too into it, I do just want to remind everybody that today we are kicking off our holiday promo. You can save over $400 if you order Origin and Workstation this holiday season. You get a free Sys1, a roll of double-sided tape for free, $100 off Origin and Workstation when you order the bundle, and 2 training courses with a dude Jake for free. And if you order through Monday the 29th, you get this sweet vintage reissue Shaper shirt. Also, what are you even watching right now? This is Shaper Sessions. We pre-recorded this one because Jake and I wanted to take the day off, but we are sitting on the couch watching this with you guys. So if you have any questions, please get at us in the comments, and we'll just be answering them for you, basically.
Yep.
Hopefully this is more of a post-Thanksgiving hangout than anything too official. We're just hanging, talking about Origin and Workstation and the bench brush. So, Goose, can you pull up the premium project for this one? We got Goose on the switchboard today.
Yeah.
Let's just show off like some of the cool stuff that's going on here. Yeah, bench brush by Aspen Golon. Let's talk a little bit about Aspen. She is an incredibly cool individual, great woodworker. We've been working with her for a while on this one. Her background is in traditional Windsor chair making, a lot of hand tools, and the big challenge for us working together with her was, how do you incorporate Origin and hand tools in a hybrid process? For this brush, that means how do you get these cool sweeping chamfers and organic curves out of a CNC router? And so Aspen developed this hybrid approach to routing with Origin and shaping with hand tools that we are super, super, super excited to share with you. Today we're going to cut a couple of the profiles that we use basically as contour lines to guide the hand shaping. But also let's let Aspen tell us about it herself. So part of this premium project is that Aspen recorded 5 videos for us. All 5 of those are included with the premium project when you purchase it through ShaperHub. But we're going to show you the introduction today, and then we're also going to show you a quick video that Aspen recorded on shaping with rasps and files. So let's get those pulled up. The video.
Yeah, let's hop over the introduction
Can
video.
we hop over to the video? Okay.
Hi,
Sweet.
my name is Aspen Golon. I'm a traditionally trained woodworker focusing on 17th to 19th century American furniture. I make a lot of chairs, and recently I've been making a lot of brushes. And so the project that we're going to be making today is this piece, and it's actually a really great introduction to both Shaper Origin and to some of the old school hand tool techniques that I use. So we'll be using the Shaper Origin to create these guidelines for the face and chamfer cuts, and then moving on to more traditional hand tools like rasps, files, and scrapers in order to do the rest of the shaping. So I hope you enjoy it.
Yeah, cool. We just did the little switcheroo while we were showing that also. So that's exactly what we're going to do today. So I have this half-finished brush that I started earlier today, and if we look at the bench cam, these are the contour lines that Aspen was talking about. So we've got contour lines on the face, and if you've seen a topographic map, this is kind of what's going on in a topographic map, but in 3D on a piece of wood. So these lines are going to guide rasping, filing, scraping, and sanding down to this organic shape, and then we've got a similar thing for the chamfers on the profile of the brush here. So we've got these guidelines that follow at the chamfer dimensions all the way around the brush. And we're going to use those to file, rasp and file, scrape and sand to get something like this, which I hope the beauty of these highlight lines, there we go, is coming through. It's the first time, I think, honestly, that I've hand shaped something, and it made it incredibly quick and rewarding just to have those guides there and have a lot of the material removed for starters as well. So that's how this works. We've got a fixture here that is part of the project. This is great for batch production. I'm going to show you how to set this up for batch production. And what we're going to do is on this side here, I've cut the profile guidelines already, but not the face guidelines. So we're going to go in and cut those and see how it looks. What do you think?
Let's do it.
All right, sweet. So this is a shelf project. I'm going to set it up on the shelf with double-sided tape. So I'm going to get just 2 lines going here. One, I like to do just one at the top of the shelf, and then another one at the bottom of the shelf. I like to make sure that this is pressed on nice and firmly before I peel the top off, because then the tape is less likely to come away with the paper. So got that going. Lost just a little bit there. Here we go. 1 and 2. And now the cool thing about this project is, again, that it's repeatable. And Origin and Workstation make this really easy. What we've got, if we switch to the Workstation cam, is 2 reference faces on Workstation itself. One of those is the front of the clamping face here. So I'm going to make sure that this fixture is pressed all the way forward in the Y direction against that clamping face. Our other reference point is this vertical guide right here. So I'm going to make sure that not only am I pressed all the way against the clamping face, but I'm also going to make sure that I'm pressed all the way to the left against that vertical guide, and I'm going to press this fixture down. Now, what this means is that every time I go and set this up, if I take it off and I put it back in, it's going to be in the same place. That's cool because the digital workspace in Origin also remembers where everything was relative to the visual markers, the dominoes on Workstation. So if I take this off and come back again later with a named workspace, I'll show you how to do that so it's really easy to remember what you're working on when you go back to it. Then you can crank out 5 of these brushes this weekend. You can take everything off, work on something else, then set it all up, go back to the same workspace that you were using, and it's all there ready to go. You don't have to probe to grid again like we're going to do today. So that's where we're at. I have used offsets to finely tune the fit of this fixture so that this brush presses in perfectly. We've got that. And then we've got 2 axes all set up. We've got the X and the Y axis here. Now I just have to make sure that the Z axis is set. And the way that I'm going to do that is by using this support bar, locking it down, and then lifting the Workstation shelf just so that everything is nice and square, because this is a little bit different height of material than Jake's tusk that he cut earlier, so we have to adjust that. Next step that I'm going to do is scan and grid. So the first step to gridding is to make sure that you've got the appropriate cutter in the Origin spindle for gridding. We've got an 8mm cutter and collet in here because Jake was doing a long finishing cut on that tusk. But since this is much shallower and we want to probe very accurately, I'm going to switch to the 1/4" collet and first use the bottom of an engraving cutter as a dowel to create my grid. So we've got this engraving cutter here. If we go to the Workstation cam, got this engraving cutter here. I'm going to use it upside down so that I present this smooth surface to my grid points. Just going to put this in the collet like this and clamp it in. And then later I'm just going to use the stock 1/4" cutter with Origin to actually make our cut. So we've got the correct cutter in the spindle. You want to make sure always that you lock your spindle for good probing accuracy. And the first thing that I'm going to do here, the place that I start for every new project, is making a scan. So I'm going to start with a new scan, press green to start, and then I like scanning just nice and smoothly back and across, taking a series of photos is what Origin's doing right now, and it's going to overlay those photos, compile them into one main photo that shows you both what you're working on and relates the physical space of Origin and the workspace and your fixture and your actual workpiece to the digital realm where we program in all the cuts. So you can see now that as I move around, you are now looking at this fixture with profile cuts already made. I'm going to go back into this workspace here and rename it really quick. So I'm going to say, I'm going to call this bench brush fixture. Done. So now, anytime I want to leave and come back to this, I can go into workspaces. These are all of the workspaces that Origin sees right now. You can see it's workstation, 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 because we use this workstation a lot for sessions and we make new workspaces all the time. But I've forgotten what all of these other ones are. Fortunately, I named bench brush fixture. So anytime I want to go back and make more bench brushes, all I have to do is go in and click that. We're right back where we were a second ago. Now what I'm going to do is make a grid, the grid that I put that engraving bit in there for. So we're going to make a new grid. I'm going to grid the upper left corner of the fixture. And the way that I'm going to do that is first set my depth. Rather than probing the actual fixture itself, I know that the fixture is placed up against the clamping face of Workstation. So I'm actually going to probe the clamping face of Workstation for those two x-axis points, and then I'm going to probe the left side of the fixture itself for my y-axis reference point. So I want to make sure that Origin knows that I have a 1/4 inch probe in there. And let's see. I think I need to lower the bit a little bit more. That's okay. We can just go back into depth here. Be a little more careful lowering. That's the right depth right there. Set the depth. And now you can see that when I probe, you can see that's the clamping face of Workstation. If I go over here, you can see just like in the photo, I'm going into the T slot. That's not what I want. I want a probe point here. I'm going to go all the way past the fixture, grab another probe point here, and then I'm going to grab my third probe point along the side of the fixture. Now notice that since I'm between my two x-axis probe points over here and over here, the Origin defaulted to center probing, but that's not what I want, so all I do is click this button, click it for left, right, and center. I'm going to choose right, probe 3, and now you can see the digital world and the physical world are one. I've got my origin point of this grid at the upper left corner of the fixture. Super cool. Now, to get my cuts in, I'm going to go to my premium projects, bench brush, imperial cutting files, and I've already cut the profile steps. I'm going to cut the face steps here. And this project, very well thought out. We've used a custom anchor to perfectly align these face cuts with where you want them to be relative to the brush when it's in the fixture. Everything's all aligned for you to that 0, 0. So I'm just going to place it right there. Now if we scroll over the brush, you can see this guideline of the brush. You can see these steps all going in down to the middle right there. Perfect. So let's actually cut something. I'm going to change my cutter over to the 1/4 inch, again by unlocking the spindle. Grab the wrench here, undo the collet. Chime in anytime, Jake, if you've got anything to add. I feel like I'm like
there's a
totally
lot of steps
monopolizing. I'm monopolizing the conversation here, and I'm sorry.
There's a lot of steps to this process. I can't wait to make one of these brushes for myself.
Yeah.
It's definitely going to be a couple of presents that I'm going to be giving away this year.
I hope nobody who's getting one is watching this, or I hope that they can't guess if so.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah, this process is definitely unique for this process, or for this project, and I love it. Like giving ourselves a rough guideline to then come in with these hand tools, and the array of hand tools is really fun too. Kind of, if you don't own these already and you want to get into hand shaping, having a good rasp, a rough, medium, and then we start kind of getting into file range with a really fine file. to hold those hard edges. Sandpaper is really easy to round over those crisp chamfers that you're trying to keep. So having things like scrapers and files is how you keep that nice clean edge all the way through.
You know, that's a great idea, Jake. Since this is such a new thing for this project and for our customers, I'm going to cut this, but then after that, we'll show you another video from Aspen, video number 2 out of 5 for this project on her tips for shaping. There are more tips in the written instructions, but we've got another 1 minute or so video that we can show you. It's pretty cool. Okay, so I've got my 1/4 inch cutter in here.
Oh, look at that. Love how all the depths are listed out so
it's
clear.
all listed out for you. One quirk of this project, because the fixture and the hardwood are very often not going to be the same thickness. Even if you made inch thick perfect hardwood pieces for this project, your plywood, the plywood that you get from the store, what's the variance on the plywood that we get here? It's wild.
If we're talking 3/4, anywhere from 0.73 to 0.77 or 8.
Yeah, it's all over the place.
Which in Origin World is a lot.
That's a lot, exactly. So what we did for this project is we made your hardwood blank 7/8 of an inch thick, and we're working with 1 inch plywood as the fixture here, so that you know that the fixture is always carrying Origin above the thing that you're actually cutting. The nuance there is that you don't know necessarily the difference between the top of your brush blank that you're working on and the top of the fixture. So what we're going to do here is Z-touch off the top of the brush blank itself and not Workstation or the fixture as you might do for some other projects. So I want to make sure that I've got my cutter diameter set here. 1/4 inch, it's going to prompt me to Z-touch anyway. Great. All set. So now what we're going to do is from the inside out, just follow these depth markings and cut our face guidelines.
Now you going to do any kind of offset with that, or you just kind of go straight into it?
No offset.
Cool.
Yeah, no offset. They're pretty light cuts. Honestly, the deepest one is 0.16 inches, and they get shallower from that. So I'm pretty comfortable that I'm going to get straight lines with no offset. The other thing about this project is that they're guidelines, not really finish lines, so I'm going to hand shape it anyway.
Yeah.
And if I do get any small inconsistencies, because Origin is a hand tool, and your skill with using it does influence the quality of cuts that you'll get, I'm very confident that I can shape those away in the hand tool portion. So yeah, let's get it going. Want to make sure that this is set 0.16, I think that was, and not negative, positive 0.16 cut. Inside cut, 0 offset, got the right diameter, already Z-touched. I know my feeds are good, my speeds are good, so we are ready to cut.
Alright, so just a reminder for anyone that happens to be new here tonight. Russ's goal is to plunge directly on that cut path by just tapping that green button on his right hand side. Origin plunges down to your set depth, hangs out there while you follow along that path, and it retracts once he's finished. What's fun too is the cut settings function is also a calculator, so if you're trying to do some simple addition or subtraction in this case, you can just keep subtracting a set amount and it will adjust your depth. Same thing happens for offsets and pit sizes. It's a built-in calculator. You can also use a calculator for placing files if you want to be really specific on where you're placing a file on your grid. You can tell it an exact XY coordinate. Now Russ kind of breezed over this when we were placing this file, but he used a custom anchor point. That's something that was recently showed off in our most recent software update, Inverness. A custom anchor point allows you to, in your design file, put a small red triangle at the exact point in which you want your anchor point to be, and it could be anywhere in your file, and that will be your custom anchor point once you bring it onto Origin. You can use it for hardware placements, anything where, especially handy in tenon work, anytime you want a really specific anchor point. Of course, you always have those options of choosing from the square of anchor points outside of that, whether it be the middle anchor point or bottom left. You can still choose those. Coming up on our final pass here. Let's see it.
Yeah, pretty good. Let's see if we can squeeze this out of here. It is a snug fit, that's for sure.
Did you put a little double-sided tape in the bottom, or is it just friction?
There's a little bit of double-sided tape in the bottom, but I can feel that it's also loose. We can just also... We're only cutting one of these, so I can just lift the whole thing.
I love that this is
There we
such a
go.
repeatable process, and that you can literally cut 3/4 of this project, come back to it, set it up again, and have it be accurate again.
Exactly. So, we can go to the bench cam. This is the side that we just cut. So we just got those nice face profiles so that when you shape your actual brush, you get that nice swept contour where the brush is a little bit thicker near the bristles, narrows down at the waist, and then thickens back up toward the handle. And as you can see, it also just totally matches the other side. Pretty cool. Yeah, let's compare to the finished brush. Good idea. So as you can see, side by side, you're going to use these guidelines here to shape these chamfers and curves here. Really beautiful stuff. So the next step on this would just be hand tools the whole rest of the way. There is no more Origin work on this project. It's all, like Jake said, it's all rasps, files, card scraper if you're comfortable trying that, sandpaper. There's a lot of different ways to do it. I see Jake's got the Tampico fibers out. This is really cool also.
This is a really satisfying thing.
Super satisfying material. These fibers are natural fiber bristles, and they are made from dried agave. That's what Tampico is. So it's like long agave fibers, if you've seen long agave leaves. So the next step would be hand shaping. Let's pull up the video of shaping with hand tools from Aspen. Can we get that going, Goose? All right.
Hi, my name is Aspen Golon. I'm a traditionally trained woodworker focusing on 17th to 19th century American furniture. Make a lot of chairs.
I think this is the first video. Plot twist.
On to one of my favorite steps.
Here we go.
This is where the hand tool woodworking really shines. We're going to use a rasp and a file in order to shape the piece. So if you've never used a rasp before, it's used to remove material really quickly and leaves a relatively rough surface, the equivalent of about 60 grit sandpaper. So a file is used after the rasp to achieve a finer finish, the equivalent of about 150 grit sandpaper, and can also be used on your brass tubing. The key to using the rasp well is in the grip and the pressure. So you need to secure your brush and hold the rasp in your fingertips and graze the wood with the teeth. Don't press too hard, let the tool do the work, and hold the tool with a slight angle, using the entire cutting surface with each stroke. If you hold it diagonally, you'll notice that you can get much more body on the surface, and that helps keep the curves smooth. So pick it up and repeat, the rasp and the file. Don't cut on the pull stroke, just on the push stroke. And lastly, remember grain direction, and always remember to cut downhill so you don't tear the fibers of the wood.
Awesome.
Very
and
cool.
In this project, we've got 5 videos. We've got the introduction. We've got a video on reading the grain, which is a key skill for working with hand tools. We've got that shaping video that we just showed you. We've got 1 on scraping and sanding, and then we've got another one on how to work with these really cool natural fiber bristles to make the bristle bundles for the brush. That's a mouthful. That's what we got for this week. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you in 2 weeks for the next one.
Thanks, everyone.
Later.